Hi guys, it is Howitzer here, and it is time for another Kaiju Explained episode. In the last two videos, we've covered MechaGodzilla from both the Showa and Heisei eras, so today we're going to be taking a look at Kiryu, the third MechaGodzilla from the Millennium era. Kiryu was the last MechaGodzilla that we've seen in any of the Godzilla films. This version of MechaGodzilla goes by many different titles, the first and main title being Kiryu, which means Machine Dragon in Japanese. Kiryu also goes by Millennium MechaGodzilla, MechaGodzilla 3, and MFS3, which stands for Multi-Purpose Fighting System Type 3. I've always been a huge fan of the design of both MechaGodzillas from the Showa and Heisei eras, but the design of Kiryu has to be one of my favorite MechaGodzillas as far as looks go. This version just looks sleeker and more maneuverable than the two previous incarnations. Kiryu comes in weighing at 36,000 metric tons, and you can add another 4,000 metric tons when he is equipped with his shoulder battle gear. He stands at nearly 60 meters tall, or close to 200 feet. His power source is unknown, and so is the makeup of the metals used in his exterior, as opposed to the first two mechaGs that were made up of space alloys. Kiryu, like the first MechaGodzilla, is a fairly well-balanced mech. He is highly capable with both ranged and melee attacks. He is easily the most agile of the mechaGs, and possibly the strongest, being able to swing Godzilla around by his tail. And speaking of that tail, it was closer to Godzilla's tail in length and style, so he was able to use it as an offensive weapon, much like Godzilla does. He has two Type 90 Maser cannons located in his mouth and dual railguns on each arm. He is equipped with rocket boosters that enable him to fly. When wearing his battle pack, he has access to two shoulder-mounted rocket launchers, each capable of firing 6 rockets to the front and 8 heat-seeking rockets from the sides and back. He is also able to launch the shoulder pack away and detonate it remotely when needed. For close melee attacks, he can deploy a short blade from his right wrist that was not only able to penetrate Godzilla's skin, but it was able to discharge an electrical surge as well. We see Kiryu in two different Millennium era films. In his second appearance in Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S, his right hand is upgraded, allowing it to collapse into a revolving drill. Of all of these abilities though, the most devastating and important weapon that Kiryu has is the Absolute Zero Cannon. This fires a ball of energy that instantly freezes its target to absolute zero, therefore causing it to crush under its own weight at the molecular level. A major drawback of the Absolute Zero weapon is that it takes up over 40% of the power when the weapon is used. Unfortunately, this weapon was heavily damaged in the first appearance of Kiryu, so it was replaced with a triple hyper Maser cannon in the following film. Kiryu was constructed by the JXSDF and is built around the skeleton of the original Godzilla that was killed by the Oxygen Destroyer in 1954. It is programmed with special DNA computers, allowing the mech to operate much like a normal kaiju. For Godzilla against MechaGodzilla, which again was the first appearance of Kiryu, Japan had only been attacked by the original Godzilla back in 1954. They had faced other kaiju such as Mothra and Gaira, but it wasn't until the second Godzilla landed in 1999 that this MechaGodzilla was created. On top of that, it should also be noted that this is the only mechaG in this continuity, because the different eras in the Godzilla films don't always coincide with each other. The two other versions are in alternate timelines. As far as weaknesses for this version of MechaGodzilla, they all have one major drawback, and that's that they're only as good as their pilot. But on top of that, there are two unfortunate, enormous drawbacks to Kiryu. The first one being its energy stores. I guess you could say this with all three versions, but it may be a little worse for Kiryu. If the mech runs out of power, it's pretty much useless. The second and most glaring problem is the fact that there is some kind of life force from the original Godzilla still living inside of Kiryu. When Godzilla would roar, it would awaken this life force of the original Godzilla and allow it to take over Kiryu. During its first encounter with Godzilla, after hearing the roar from the new version of Godzilla, Kiryu went AWOL and started to attack the city instead of Godzilla. You can even tell when the original Godzilla takes over the mech, as its eyes will change from a glowing yellow to a glowing red. It really is a shame, because this MechaGodzilla was able to hold its own in a fight up until losing control of itself. This is still one of my favorite iterations of mechaG, but I really like all three versions. In the very least, to me, it is one of the better looking ones, but even that is hard to judge. I still love the early Japanese influences in the original MechaGodzilla, but I also love the bulkiness and powerful look of the second version. It's just too bad that mechaG relies too much on its power source and its pilots. So what do you guys think about Kiryu? What's your favorite version of MechaGodzilla? If all three of the mechaGs were the same size and weight, who do you think would win in a fight? Let me know your thoughts and questions down below in the comments, and as always, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you liked the video, if you could leave a like, it helps out the channel so much, and if you haven't subscribed yet, why not, for all the future Godzilla goodness to come. Thanks again, take care, and I hope to see you next time.